The air crackled with unspoken tension. Linda stood frozen, her back to Tom. His voice, thick with emotion, sliced through the silence.
How could you do this to us, Linda? To me?
Linda's shoulders slumped. Shame washed over her. She had no words to defend herself, no justifications to offer. The truth, ugly and raw, hung heavy in the air between them. Their once sacred space, their living room, now felt like a battleground. The family photos on the mantelpiece seemed to mock them. Each image, a painful reminder of the life they had built together, a life now teetering on the precipice of destruction. Linda closed her eyes, bracing herself for the storm of emotions she knew was about to break.
Was it all a lie, Linda? Everything we had?
His words were laced with pain, each syllable a fresh wound on her already battered heart. It all started so innocently. A shared laugh at the office party, a late-night work session that stretched into the early hours. Mark, her boss, was charming and attentive. Linda found herself drawn to his quick wit and easy confidence. He was everything Tom wasn't, spontaneous, full of grand gestures, and always ready with a compliment. Tom, on the other hand, was steady and reliable, his love a quiet, comforting presence in her life. One late night, as they were finalizing a presentation, Mark leaned in. His hand brushed against hers, sending a jolt of electricity through her. Linda knew she should pull away, but something held her captive. That night a line was crossed, a betrayal that would forever taint the memory of their love. The guilt was immediate and suffocating. Linda tried to push the memory away, to bury it deep within herself, but the weight of her secret was a heavy burden to bear. It manifested in her withdrawn nature, in the lies she told to cover her tracks. Tom knew something was wrong. He saw it in the way Linda flinched at his touch, in the way her eyes darted away when he tried to catch her gaze. At first, he blamed work stress, the demanding hours they both kept. But deep down, a seed of doubt had been sown. One night, while Linda slept, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. Tom, unable to ignore the gnawing suspicion any longer, picked it up. The message on the screen confirmed his worst fears. It was from Mark, and it was filled with intimate details that made Tom's blood run cold. The world as he knew it crumbled. The woman he loved, the woman he had built a life with, had betrayed him in the most devastating way possible. The pain was unbearable, a physical ache that spread through his chest and settled in the pit of his stomach. He confronted Linda that night, his voice trembling with a mixture of anger and heartbreak. The look on her face, a mixture of shame and fear, confirmed everything. The truth hung between them, a toxic cloud suffocating the last vestiges of their love.
Please, Tom, let me explain.
Linda pleaded, her voice cracking under the weight of his accusing gaze. She reached for him, but he flinched away as if her touch burned.
Explain what, Linda? That you threw away years of marriage, of love, for a cheap thrill?
Linda sank to the floor, tears streaming down her face.
It wasn't like that, Tom. It was a mistake, a horrible, stupid mistake.
But her words rang hollow, even to her own ears. How could she explain the unexplainable? How could she expect him to forgive the unforgivable?
A mistake? Is that what we're calling it now? A mistake?
The air crackled with tension, the silence punctuated by Linda's choked sobs. She longed to reach out, to bridge the chasm that had opened between them, but the look of betrayal in Tom's eyes held her captive. Days turned into nights, each one a relentless cycle of accusations, justifications, and bitter silences. The house, once their sanctuary, became a prison of their shattered dreams. Tom, consumed by a maelstrom of anger and hurt, retreated into himself. He barely spoke to Linda, his eyes filled with a coldness that chilled her to the bone. Linda wandered through the empty rooms like a ghost, haunted by the wreckage of their love. She desperately wanted to explain, to make Tom understand that the affair meant nothing, that he was the only man she ever loved, but the words wouldn't come. How could she possibly articulate the complex web of emotions that had led her astray? How could she ask him to forgive the unforgivable? The nights were the worst. They lay in their bed, separated by a gulf of hurt and resentment. The once familiar warmth of Tom's body was now a painful reminder of what they had lost. Linda found herself seeking solace in memories. She remembered their first date, the nervous excitement, the way Tom looked at her with stars in his eyes. She remembered their wedding day, the joy radiating from Tom's face as he slipped the ring on her finger, the vows they made to love and cherish each other, for better or for worse. Had it all been a lie? Had their love been nothing more than a fragile illusion, easily shattered by a moment of weakness? The guilt was a physical weight on her chest, threatening to suffocate her. She had betrayed the man she loved, the man who had been her rock, her confidant, her everything. And in doing so, she had destroyed the foundation on which their life together had been built. Linda knew she had to make a choice. Could she live with the consequences of her actions? And could Tom ever truly forgive her and move on? One evening, Tom came home to find Linda packing a suitcase. His heart lurched in his chest. Was this it? Was she really leaving him?
"What are you doing?" he asked, his voice a hoarse whisper.
Linda turned to face him, her eyes red-rimmed and filled with unshed tears.
I think I need some space, Tom, she said, her voice barely audible.
Tom felt a surge of anger. Space? Was that all she had to say after what she had done? After the pain she had caused him?
"Space?" he repeated, his voice laced with disbelief. "You think space is going to fix this? You think it's just going to make everything go away?"
Linda closed her eyes, bracing herself for his wrath. She knew he was right. Running away wouldn't solve anything. But she couldn't bear to stay there, to see the pain in his eyes, to be a constant reminder of her betrayal. The weeks that followed were a blur of lonely dinners, sleepless nights, and agonizing introspection. Tom threw himself into his work, using it as a shield against the pain. But even as he lost himself in spreadsheets and deadlines, the memory of Linda's betrayal lingered, a constant ache in his chest.
The damn spreadsheets. They don't even make sense anymore.
Linda, on the other hand, sought solace in her friends and family. She confessed everything, pouring out her heart and soul, seeking their understanding and forgiveness.
I need to tell you something.
But even their love and support couldn't erase the guilt that gnawed at her. She had betrayed the trust of the man she loved, and the consequences of her actions were far-reaching and devastating. As the days turned into weeks, Tom and Linda began to realize the true cost of betrayal. It wasn't just the pain they inflicted on each other, but the erosion of the foundation on which their love had been built. One evening, Tom received a call from Linda. She wanted to meet, to talk. He hesitated, unsure if he was ready to face her, to confront the raw emotions that still simmered beneath the surface. They met at a small cafe, a familiar haunt from their early days of dating. The air was thick with unspoken words, the silence punctuated by the clinking of coffee cups and the murmur of other conversations.
Tom, I know that what I did was unforgivable. I hurt you in ways I can't even begin to imagine.
Linda looked different. Her eyes, once sparkling with life, were now clouded with sadness. But there was also a newfound strength in her gaze, a determination that Tom had never seen before.
"Yeah."
Tom said nothing. He simply met her gaze, his expression unreadable.
I'm not here to make excuses. I take full responsibility for my actions. I was selfish and I betrayed your trust in the worst possible way. I know that you may never be able to forgive me, and I understand. But I want you to know that I'm truly sorry, Tom. I regret what I did more than words can say.
Tom listened in silence, his heart a mixture of anger, pain, and a flicker of something akin to hope. Could he ever truly forgive her? Could they ever find a way back to each other after all that had happened?
"I don't know, Linda. I don't know if I can."
He looked at Linda, really looked at her for the first time since that fateful night. He saw the remorse in her eyes, the genuine sorrow that mirrored his own. The silence stretched between them, pregnant with unspoken emotions. In the end, they both knew that some wounds cut too deep to heal. The betrayal had left an indelible mark on their relationship, a constant reminder of the fragility of trust. They decided to go their separate ways, their hearts heavy with the weight of what could have been. The love they once shared, the life they had built together, now lay in ruins at their feet.
"Goodbye, Linda."
As Tom walked away from the cafe, he couldn't shake the feeling that a part of him would always be haunted by Linda's betrayal. The pain might fade with time, but the scar would remain, a constant reminder of the cost of infidelity. And so, their story ended not with a bang, but with a whimper, a poignant reminder that even the strongest love can crumble under the weight of betrayal.